Hey, this is Stu Schaefer, and I'm about to explain the menopause diet in 4 easy steps, what you've got to do different, why you need to do it differently, and why things change in menopause to begin with. Why are you gaining weight all of a sudden? Why can't you lose weight? What do you need to do? We're going to go through that right now. First, let me explain the differences in menopause and what exactly the menopause diet is. All right, well, in case you didn't know, things change in menopause. Now, I've been working with women over 50 for the last 25 years. Through trial and error, through testing and proving and perfecting my methods, I've learned in the trenches with actual women just like you exactly what to do, why it works, how it works. So everything I'm about to tell you is from experience over 2 decades. This isn't theory. Your bodies are different, and you need to do things differently, plain and simple, I'm sorry to say. So in menopause, a couple things shift. Number 1, your ovaries stop producing hormones, and now your adrenal glands are responsible. Well, that means the way your body is handling stress and producing hormones is super different. When you're younger, your adrenal glands can be stressed and taxed and produce all your stress hormones, and your ovaries are still able to produce all of your sex hormones. When you get to menopause, that doesn't work like that anymore. The adrenal glands have to do both. And so this is why a lot of stuff that works when you're younger, or you're not doing anything different, and all of a sudden you start gaining weight, or you can't lose weight even though you're doing the same stuff. This is part of the problem. Things change. Now, in addition to that shift, your body is more sensitive to stress. All our bodies become more sensitive to stress as we get older. You can't do in your 80s what you did in your 20s. You know, body just slowly breaks down. That's just how it is. Well, somewhere in midlife, for some women it's in their 30s, sometimes it's your 40s or your 50s, your body gets sensitive to the point where you don't have the leeway to make mistakes like you did before. Now, most women in their youth, in their 20s and 30s, when they lose weight, they do it wrong. Okay, they're doing something like cutting carbs or cutting calories or doing something like intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating or over-exercising. And these are not the right way to lose weight, but you were able to get away with it before. But now that your body is so sensitive to stress, you can't get away with that anymore. Okay, so all the mistakes you were making, that even though you were making those mistakes before, you were still able to get results, now it's not going to work. And this really is confusing to a lot of women, and I get it. It's very frustrating. But this is why things shift. So with the menopause diet, you have to shift things with your body. You have to stop just eating healthy, and you have to start eating correctly. There's a big difference. All the clients I've worked with, they were eating healthy, organic. They cut out sugar. They had cut out dairy. They had cut out alcohol. They had cut out soy. They had cut out dairy, you name it. They couldn't lose weight. They were eating healthy, but not correctly. When you eat correctly, what happens is you cause the right chemical reactions in your body. This forces your body to burn fat. And what happens is when you eat, none of that food ever gets stored as fat. It goes to the right places in the body. It goes to your muscles. It goes to your liver. It goes to your brain. It goes to your organs, your cells. This speeds up your metabolism. It helps crank up your thyroid, which also speeds up your metabolism. It gives you lots of energy. And since you're not storing any fat from the food you eat, then you don't... What happens is most people, they eat wrong, and then they store this fat. Then they have to pull that fat back out before they can start burning additional fat. So it makes it way harder. This is why people end up cutting calories. They're eating incorrectly. And then there's a bunch of side effects, especially in menopause. You want to do it correctly, and we're going to go through the 4 steps right now. Step number 1, increase your calories. Now, before I expand on this, you need to know that there has to be a balance. Okay, if you look at these 3 circles, there's 3 components to the menopause diet that you need. Number 1, it's probably the most important, is the mindset. Now, we're not going to get into that today. Number 2 is the nutrition. And number 3 is the exercise. Now, one of the keys that most people miss is they all 3 have to balance. A big problem that people have, especially women, is they'll do an exercise program, then it doesn't match with what they're eating. They don't lose weight. Or they'll do a nutrition plan, it doesn't match with their activity or exercise. They still don't get results. Even though you're working really hard. You might be listening to a dozen podcasts or watching all these different YouTube videos or whatever. And so you're trying to piece together from, all these different sources. And I've had clients that have been at it for 20 or 30 years. 20 or 30 years, no results. We fix it in just 3 months, okay? And that's the difference when you work with a legit expert who understands your body. So, number 1, you've got to increase calories. But it has to match your exercise. And vice versa. Now, when I say increase calories, you actually need to eat the right amount, which is different for everyone, and it's going to depend on where you're starting, what you've done, your activity level, your body, your genetics, a lot. But let me give you an average. For a 5'5", 55-year-old woman who's just moderately active, the amount of calories, now I don't recommend counting calories, by the way, I'm just telling you this to give you a frame of reference. When I work with clients, we don't count calories. But I'll give you a frame of reference. The amount of calories you should be able to eat and lose weight is somewhere between 1,700 and 1,800 or more per day. Now, I work with a lot of clients. When they come to me, they're only eating 1,000 calories a day because they've been doing fasting and keto and these starvation diets. So they're only eating 1,000 calories a day. We can't go from 1,000 to 1,800 like that. It doesn't work like that. The body doesn't like that. We have to increase slowly. I just recently did a case study where I had mentioned a woman started with me with eating 1,200 calories. We went up to 1,500, and somebody left some comment about, well, 1,500 is a restriction. I said, you didn't watch the video, okay? We went from 1,200 to 1,500. We're still increasing. You got to do it in steps. You can't just go from 0 to 100 in a second. It doesn't work. The body doesn't work like that. The body likes gradual change. Now, you obviously need to know what to increase first. Should it be protein, carbs, fats, the types of carbs, what the timing, you need to understand that. That takes a little finesse, and it depends on what you've been doing. It depends on the type of exercise and activity you're doing. Are you active at work or do you sit all day? All of these factors come into play. Bottom line though, most women that I've talked to over the last 25 years, and it's been thousands that I've worked with, thousands and thousands, I've never told anyone they're eating too much, ever. I always tell them they're not eating enough. So likely you need to increase your intake of food. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but if you don't eat enough, this is very stressful on the body. And we just talked about the fact that your body can't handle that stress anymore. Plus, if you're over-exercising, it will put your body into a starvation mode, and your body will down-regulate its own metabolism. This causes your metabolism to slow down over time. In fact, it causes something called repressed metabolic syndrome, RMS. That's just a fancy term that means your metabolism slows down to the point where when you eat, your body automatically stores it as fat, but then when you exercise, you oftentimes will burn off muscle, which slows your metabolism down even more. So you've got to fix that. And you can't fix it by eating less. You actually have to eat more. Step 2, you need to lower your exercise. Again, let me rephrase this. You need the right amount, the right intensity, and the right type of exercise. And again, it has to match with your food. It depends on your body. It depends on your goals. Most women that I've worked with over the last 24 years are exercising too much. Their thought is, hey, if I exercise more, I'll have to lose more weight, but then it backfires. It overstresses your body. It overstresses your adrenals. It raises your cortisol too much. Sometimes it can hurt your thyroid. Sometimes it can actually cause unstable blood sugar and insulin spikes. You need the right type, the right amount, and the right intensity. Too much of any of this is bad, and too little is bad. You need the sweet spot. And it has to match with your food. They have to balance each other. Okay, so how much is enough? Well, it depends, and it can change, okay? I usually don't do more than 30 minutes a day for my clients. They usually do 3 resistance trainings per week, 3 cardios per week. They're very low intense exercise. They're 30 minutes or less, so 1 day off. So you're looking at 6 days a week, 30 minutes, no high intensity interval training, nothing like that. And my clients get phenomenal results. They tone their muscles, they build muscle, they lose fat, they lose inches, their energy goes up, they feel amazing, their cortisol goes down, their cholesterol goes down, their blood sugar goes down. Everything normalizes because we're putting the body in a very healthy state where it can balance itself and heal itself. And that's what the body's designed to do. Step 2, lower the exercise. Step number 3, you've got to combine the right foods at each meal. The problem with diets is they don't tell you enough. Quite honestly, it's because the people coming up with these diets don't understand the body. You need to eat the right type of food. You need to combine the right foods at each meal, and you need to eat the right types of food at the right time of day. Now, I have a food combining video or lesson all about this. I'm going to splash it up here so you can go check that out. You want to watch that for sure. This is why macros aren't enough. Calories, not enough. Tracking your glucose monitor, not enough. You can't simplify or just, make it about one thing. The body is complex. It's not just calories. It's not just blood sugar. It's not just protein or carbs or fats. It all works together. Your body is super complicated. You have to eat the right food at the right time in the right combination to cause the right chemical reactions. Okay, so someone's inevitably going to comment, well, tell us the combinations. This is different for every person. It depends on your genetics, where your body's at, how much body fat do you have, what your goals are, what kinds of diets you've been doing, your likes and dislikes, if you have any food sensitivities, your schedule, what you're doing through the day, what type of activity you're doing, your age, all these things matter. But you need to combine the right foods at each meal. If you just type in some willy-nilly thing and it tells you, okay, eat this amount of protein and this amount of carbs and this amount of fat, well, what type of protein? There's 5 different types. What type of carbs? There's 16 different types. What type of fat? There's 10 different types. When should you have which one? How much should you have at each meal? You need to know all of that. That's super important. So you've got to start understanding that. Go check out the lesson on combining. Okay, step 4, last step. You've got to eat the right food at the right time. You've got to time things correctly. Again, I did a whole in-depth lesson on this. I'm going to splash that up so you can go check that out. Your body changes through the day. Your cortisol changes. Your metabolism rate changes. Your melatonin changes. Your activity changes. All of these, there's so many things. Hormones are changing. Stress is changing. Just physical activity that you're doing. There's so many things that change through the day. Plus, we're mammals. We have a circadian rhythm. Goes with the sun. Okay, so if you're eating and you're timing the food correctly, you're eating the right type of food in the morning, which is different than the middle of the day, which is different than the evening. Now you're going to work with your body instead of against it. And guess what? That would be like you trying to swim down the stream with the current. It's so much faster and easier versus trying to swim up the stream against the current. You're not going anywhere. You're going to struggle and struggle and struggle and not get any results. Timing your food is just like this. You work with your body. Everything operates together. You're going to burn fat. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more focus. Your hormones are going to balance. You're going to de-stress the body. You're going to combine that correctly with the exercise. Now everything's happy in your body. And you start losing weight again like you did in your 20s. And you don't have to work so hard. And it feels natural and normal. The key is you've got to do all of these things. And you have to work with your body specifically. Now everyone is a little bit different. I wish there was just one magic formula for everyone. The fact is there isn't. Ketogenic diets, intermittent fasting, carnivore diets are not good for women in menopause. They really cause more stress. They can damage your thyroid. They can cause repressed metabolic syndrome. I see it so often. My clients are the ones coming away from those things, and we have to heal their body from all the damage they've done. So apply these 4 simple steps, and I'm going to splash up 2 videos right now that I want you to go watch that will really give you some insights into the nutrition and the exercise. So take a look at those, and I'll see you over there. All right, take care.